Ooh, what's up? What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another session of Coffee and Martial Arts. Salud, salud, salud. Cheers. Oh, good. And today we have a great guest. We have actually a member of the new generation of Kenpo instructors and promoters. Okay. This is actually very special and exciting for me because I believe, and I truly, honestly believe, that the future of the art is, of course, in the new generations. And I'm also a firm believer of the new generations. I don't think there's nothing wrong with the new generations. Well, I have kids, of course. So I have a 25-year-old daughter and a 19-year-old boy and a 13-year-old boy. So I believe they are the best in the world. So I am a promoter and a fan of the new generations. And today we're going to have a Kenpo a professor who is still very young, but he has tons of experience in the art, training, teaching, promoting, running a studio. There's so much talent in the new generations that sometimes we don't appreciate it as much. So I'm very happy that we can do that and we can acknowledge this man, this young man who's here with us, Associate Kenpo Professor Randy Perez. Hello.
Hello. Hi, everybody. It is great to be on today. Very excited.
Thank you for being here and accepting the invitation, my friend.
I thank you. Same. I appreciate you just taking a look at my stuff and being able to let me speak on here. That's amazing.
Well, this is an open forum, and the people that come here are the people that are promoting the arts, martial arts per se. Of course, we are a little bit more focused in Kenpo because, well, that's my background, but still it's an open forum for martial artists who have something to share, basically, who have paid their dues, and I believe you're one of them. And I'm actually very impressed with your career. I know you're still a young man, but you have achieved so much at your. Can I say the age?
Oh yes, of course. Go right ahead. We've talked about that one.
I believe you're 28, right?
Yes, sir. I am 28. Just turned 28 a week ago.
Nice. So happy birthday. Congratulations.
That's one. Thank you very much. It's very special because that also marks my 17th year because I began martial arts right in the early part of the year. So it's special on both ends.
Nice, nice. So saludos, Juan Martin Alvarez saying hello from Argentina.
Hi, Juan Martinez. Good to see you.
I have to mention this. We go live through their international Hall of Fame page. This is the International Hall of Fame of Argentina magazine. They have a magazine still on paper. They're the only ones who have that down in South America, I believe. And nice. We go live through their fan page in YouTube. Okay, Facebook. So you can follow us in Facebook at International Hall of Fame. You see the banner right down on the screen. We also go live through my Facebook page, Master Frank Soto Kinetic Dragon, in Facebook at Kinetic Dragon. You can find it like that. We also go on YouTube. Okay, you can follow us on YouTube also at the Kinetic Dragon channel. So please go there, subscribe, like, and touch on the little bell so you get the notifications and everything else.
Absolutely. Okay. I always find good stuff on your pages. So that's exciting, Mr. Soto.
Thank you, sir. Liam Brady saying hello from Ireland.
Mr. Liam Brady, hello. It's good to have some people from other countries. Exciting.
Nice. And Paola Romero says, good day. Buen dia.
Hello. Good day to you too.
Okay, so usually when I bring somebody up, the first thing I ask is if you could share a briefly, background, just brief story about who you are in the arts and how you are, or how you came to be. Before we go there, International Hall of Fame says Does Maestro Randy lives in Fresno, California?
That is correct. I do live in Fresno, California. You know, Madera and Fresno are kind of close cities together. I grew up in Madera, but Fresno is where we began the karate school, or at least my mom began the karate school. So, yes.
Sí, vive en Fresno,
absolutely.
sí. Okay. Richard Hackworth saying hello from Florida.
Oh, how exciting, Florida. It's good to see you. Hello, Miss Richard. That's awesome.
And Kim Dahl saying, hey, from Denmark, Copenhagen.
Wait, Denmark. All right. It's good to have everybody here. That's quite the honor to be able to speak in front of so many people. And yeah, I would be thinking the same thing if I were to see like a young black belt out there. It's like you immediately go, well, how old is that person and what rank are they, right? 28 years old, right? 5th degree black belt. And what I find is that a lot of the hours that were put into the martial art, I've always enjoyed Mr. Parker saying it's not how long you've been in the art, it's how long you've been at the art, right? So there's a lot of training that's been going on. I started at 10 years old, and my mom, Renee Williams, she was the one that really laid the groundwork for the Fresno Kenpo Karate School. She started back with Professor in the like 95, that's me as a yellow belt, right? That was 2004. So that was just an amazing time right there. And right from the get-go, when my mom opened up that school, it's like I was a white belt with 2 stripes and I was already holding bags. So it's like I kind of think I was that kid, like, you know, you'd see in the Chinese restaurant, grows up in the family business, you know. I grew up in Kenpo, and it just was everything I did. I was there every single day. During that time, we were teaching 6 days a week, sometimes 7, because we had different karate locations. Professor had a Madera school, a Los Banos school, and then he was traveling to Gilroy. I didn't go there as much. But
what? Sorry to interrupt.
Oh,
what time do you usually? How many hours? What time do you open up and do you close up at the studio?
So we're open 5 days a week, and the way it's always been is just the teaching hours. It's been 5 hours a day. So I get about 5 hours a day for teaching hours, which is about, what, 25 hours a week? It equals up to about 100 hours a month. So throughout the course of 17 years, I've had about 20,000 just teaching hours in. So that is just, and that's not counting just the training that I put in during that time or the karate events that when I'm not teaching, I'm either doing karate in class, I'm either practicing. Nowadays, I'm either working on the videos or marketing for the business and learning how to be able to get new students in and teach a newer generation, right? So it's just been like that for the last 17 years. And it has been like, I've been there every day. I've never missed an event. Every type of thing we've had at the Fresno school, I've been there, whether we were marketing, whether we were training, whether we were teaching. So it gave a lot of experience along the way to teach at a young age and then to grow up and teach as an adult. So
this is basically your professional career.
Absolutely. I do nothing else. Karate is everything I do. So my professor, I believe, has been running school since like 83. So he's been running it for a while. And he got a lot into already the business aspect of things, of how to be able to, you know, sell and advertise the karate school while maintaining, you know, Kenpo. Right. I find when I first started, it was the Kenpo got me really excited. And it was like my mom taught me delayed sword, and that was the first technique I did. And it was just, I did it every day. I did it throughout that entire day. And it's kind of like what started my whole karate journey. And it's just been like that ever since. And I feel it's the same way when we're teaching it to others, is that we can motivate even the younger students with the Kenpo. Right? Because that's how I got really excited into it. So that's one of been my big main motivations, is how can we take the students and get them really good with Kenpo and make it fun for them to learn the Kenpo, right?
Right. And that's a challenge right there.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Because you could have a 3.5, 4-year-old all the way up to like an adult, and it's different levels of teaching, because there's a lot of value on teaching a young child, I would think, because, you know, I came from the children's program. They're going to be adults one day, right? And when they become older, it's like that's where they can really express the true skill of working all those basics when they were young. So when we're working with a younger child, it's all about the way we speak with the vocabulary, the expectations, the gradient levels for what we expect out of them. So if we're working like just like blocking set or something like that, we might just be working the arms but not worried about the legs, right? And we get really good with that, and maybe we add the second block in there, and now it becomes either an in out or an out in, something very basic, right, that teaches them a lot of focus but engages them with the karate too, right?
And also I believe that going through the basics in that manner, or training them that way, I mean, if you have the basics down, once you start building upon the techniques and the ideal, the what if, the formulation phase, whatever, your Kenpo is going to be way more solid. So if you have a good foundation, right? And once you get older, so I guess you are betting not just on Kenpo, but you're also putting your what's the word I'm looking for? Your efforts, and you're believing in the individual, in the kid. And you're betting that he's going to go all the way to black belt, and we don't see that much.
Exactly, and that's really where the parents really come in, and that's where I find we're the most success. It's kind of like school in a way. It's really painting the right picture for the parent, because if they're not in class, they're not learning the martial art, right? So they might not understand as much as their child is going through. So it's getting them in the mindset of, it's kind of like school, right? We say that there's going to be different things that an individual has to do to be successful in life. They got to be scholastically educated. They might have another activity in their life. We say that this is their second education, because you could have the smartest person in the world, but if they don't know how to handle the roller coasters that life is going to take you through and your ups and downs, then it's going to be very difficult for them. So learning how to be able to get past difficult moments where you didn't think you could achieve something. It could be as simple as performing in front of somebody, doing a test in front of somebody, or just being able to speak in front of somebody, is all different skills that they're going to need when they become older.
And like soft skills.
Right. And we let the parents know in school, you don't learn that at all. In karate, you could have a 10-year-old learning how to teach in front of a group of like 20 and 30 people. Well, obviously not now, more like on Zoom these days, but it's amazing. Something that adults have trouble doing, we can have our kids already learning how to be able to do that as they become older. So the motivation is definitely there with, when we're looking at a student, it's very individual, right? It's like we might have a lesson plan on what's going on for that day, but we have no idea what we're going to do until the student presents their skills in front of us. It could be that we're going over checking the storm that day, but the child or the student, it could be even an adult, I find that work through a lot of coordination issues. They could have trouble just getting in a neutral or something, or being able to step out of the way in a proper stance. So that tells us what we're going to work on next with that student.
Right.
So it's definitely a process.
Okay, we have more comments here. International Hall of Fame says, yes, I love Fresno. I have great friends there, he said. Saludos.
That's awesome.
Rafael Herrera, big salute. Great teachers all the way from Spain, Andalusia.
Ooh, from Spain. How exciting. That is great.
Maestro John Ward. Hi, all. Hello, sir.
This is John Ward. I was seeing his podcast too. It gave me I've been watching a lot of these podcasts with everybody. It's nice getting all the information from everybody.
Nice. He says, great to see the younger generation getting out there. Well done, Frank. Yes, sir. Indeed. Yes. It's important. I think it's truly important that we need to support the new generations, and we need to stop this who's right or who's wrong deal, right? Because it doesn't take us anywhere. And this is the whole purpose of this podcast here, to share the positive experiences, the knowledge, and the wisdom of the guests in a safe and protected environment, if I may say that.
I really appreciate that, because a young person would have a little bit of a harder time breaking into this Kenpo world, where there is a lot of people that are experienced, especially when they have like 10 plus years. It's a little different when you're looking at like a 5th or 6th degree and already like in their 40s or so. Harder to question that, but then you take a look at somebody a little bit younger, and then It's much more about the knowledge, and I feel about the fifth rank too. It's about the Kenpo knowledge, but then it's also about the maturity that comes along with that, right? Obviously, becoming a higher belt, there's different motivations. And when I was a child, there was way different motivations back when I was a colored belt to where I'm at now. At a colored belt, it was a lot more exciting to learn the techniques and learn the system. Because you always want to get to that. You feel learning the next technique will get you to that next level. That is exciting. That picture was in Long Beach, 2006, I believe. That was one of the days we did the Friday Night Line. I think Mr. Angelo Collado has that on a video, and I was in that line with a couple of the brown belts at the time. Amazing how years later I got an opportunity to go to Mr. Kangaika's school and work out with like Mr. Higgins and Mr. Serrano, Angelo Collado, and that was a nice breakthrough because I think it was their first time working with this new generation black belt, and it was a real good way to get respect from everybody.
I think I was there in 2006.
Were you in 2006?
I think so. I'm not sure. I think it was 2006 or yeah, I think so. Well, wow.
Years ago. That one right there. I was in Jersey in 2015. That was the first time I got a chance to meet some more international martial artists that were in Kenpo. And that was just a whole exciting experience. I love that one because everybody wants to learn and they really appreciate the Kenpo over there. And when we went into the airport and right when we were getting off, people are already recognizing Professor, and that was a good sight for me to see because it was like, oh, Professor, you do know these people and you have worked with them before. So it's like when you've never seen that, it's like a totally new world that I went into. So one of my biggest, I loved that Mr. McDonald, Roy McDonald, saw me do a form and complimented me, and that was just one of the most exciting, memorable things. It's like getting a compliment from a ninth degree. It's like,
nice.
What more do you want, huh?
Nice. Yeah. We have another comment here. Manuel Jaro said, shout out to Mr. Frank Soto for putting on this great podcast. Mr. Randy Perez is one of the most amazing Kenpoists I have the opportunity to share the mat with. What many people don't see are the countless hours he's put into perfecting his craft, teaching, handling the day-to-day business operation of running a karate school, preparation for events and functions such as demo tournaments, etc. With COVID lockdown restriction, he's busy filming Kenpo videos and posting them on social media. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Haro. I really appreciate that comment. That's.
Let me just say, Mr. Haro. Yeah, some of us do see this. I think it's quite obvious, and that's why Mr. Perez. That's one of the reasons why he's here on the show today. So,
yes, sir.
No. Please.
I was going to mention those business aspects are very important to me too, because I find that a lot of times, when especially you do this as a full career, that a lot of times people might think when you focus a lot on the business aspect of things, that it might affect the Kenpo, right? Because you're doing all these different type of things that you thought you'd be teaching this whole time, and that's just such a small part of running a professional karate school. And I find that when you run the karate school like a business, you're going to have better students because you can organize them a little bit better, right? And it's really about the motivation of the student, right? Because I've been there with a lot of the successful martial arts schools, and there's a lot of good information on successful businesses that people run in the martial art industry. And I find that what's really cool about Kenpo is that you can get a student excited about that. Because a student might be excited about like maybe coming back and having a little bit of fun or playing like a game or something like that. And that could be good for like maybe like a special thing. But I find that when I was young, I didn't really need like the sumo day or like some sort of type of fun thing just to be excited about coming back to karate. It was really, the Kenpo really got me excited. So when we lay it down for like in the beginning, when we get the parent there, really get them in the mindset of what their child is going through or what they're about to go through, if they're coming in as an adult, then it really gets the mind prepped, right? So like when I have a child first come in as a student, and this is really good for anybody who is running a martial art business or wants to run a professional martial art business. when we first meet with the student, the first thing is we work with the student right in front of the parent, and we get a chance to explain to the parent exactly what we're doing with the student in class. It could be like, well, I'm going to do a back knuckle with them, but what we're really teaching them is how to be able to focus, right? And be able to listen to when I tell them to move, right? And so it already gets the parent in the mindset of like, well, no, this is good for their life, right? And even nowadays with Zoom, we haven't physically touched the students, so we're getting the parents to hold bags and attack their child, right? So that is already a big plus. They're starting to appreciate it.
That's quite an achievement.
Right. And during their second visit, we request both parents, anybody who participates in the child's life, we request them to be there on the second visit, which they earn their white belt. So we don't give them their white belt the first day. They have to earn their white belt, where they have to show some practice at home, right? It's almost like, well, let's see how good can you be, right? Let's see if this is something you can do, because you coming into karate, it's not worth just doing karate for like 2 months and quitting, right? If you really want to benefit for karate, doing it for like a year or more is something that would benefit you. Obviously, black belt is going to be the real goal that will benefit a student for the rest of their life. But if a parent comes in our karate school, plans on coming in for a couple of months, and that's it, we wouldn't accept them, right? I've had parents that I've turned down the idea of like, well, if you really want your child to have these qualities more permanent, then we need to have them for at least a year, right? And if they can show that they could commit for a year, then the next step is you want to start thinking about black belt, right? And that's what it's really the benefit of what black belt gave to all of us, right? It is, if I asked you, like, would you, if you could go back when you were a white belt and I can give you $1 million, will you quit or never do karate, right? Most of us would be like, absolutely not, right? It's really invaluable to what karate has impacted our life, and the people we've met, the people that have helped us throughout the years, and how we've grown, right? So when we get the parents into that mindset, all right, well, imagine what your child would be like when they're 14 years old and they're a black belt. Imagine how they would conduct themselves, right? And then they start painting that image in their brain. And now it's a much easier process for us to be able to get them to commit to becoming a black belt. And that's where the true success comes in.
Nice, nice. We have more comments here. Carlos Villarroel, buenas tardes. Good afternoon. Big Masta, saludos. How are you doing? Salute from Brazil, Manaus.
Good to see you.
Hello to the guest teacher, Randy Perez. Salute us.
Good to see everybody.
Mr. Patel, Ben Patel says, how do you market to adults and children?
Wow, that's a very good question. Marketing to adults and children. I find that working with families is something I really enjoy, because then you can get the parent in with the child, right? I do have a couple of young adults that are in just solo, but getting the parent to be in with the child is very exciting, because then now you can work at those two levels. You can work with an adult and get them really excited about the karate and give them more of the details, and then you can work with the children at their level. But the way it markets, this could be different ways. The way we used to market before this whole pandemic hit is we were out at different events, and it wouldn't be uncommon for me to spend about 8 hours on a weekend each day, Saturday and Sunday, being at a booth outside an event and just making appointments for people to come in. And it wasn't, average numbers would be around like maybe 80 to 100 appointments we would get that weekend. And it's processing 80 to 100 people. And it's just random people coming by our booth and just talking to them about martial arts. Nice. Of course, we had a spin wheel at the time, so stuff for them to look at, right? But it was really just to stop them so we could have a conversation with them. And that's really what it was about, right? And it was more asking the parent, well, have you ever considered martial arts? And it really gets them thinking, right? Because I find that to be one of the best questions you can ever ask a parent, whoever wants to do karate, or if you're just randomly bringing it up to them. Well, have you ever considered it? Because they might go, well, no, I haven't considered it, or I kind of considered it, right? And we give out like free lessons, right? So then we could be like, well, one of the reasons we give out free karate classes is because a lot of times parents don't realize the impact that could have on, you know, their whole family, right?
Right.
So it gets them already thinking, then that's where they're more intrigued, right? I find that's much better than trying to just go up to them and I say, I think you should do karate because we know it's good for you, right? Doing that is something we probably wouldn't get as many appointments, right?
Right.
So there's a true skill in asking a question and being interested in the parents' situation on what they want. Because I'm sure what parent out there would not want their child to be a black belt, right? If they could see their child in the future and they're like 14, 15, 16, and how they would conduct themselves as an adult, I think they would, way more people would be trained to become black belts.
Right.
So I think there's a whole art form to just being able to convey not just the Kenpo to them, but the whole martial arts in the whole. And that's why I like, you know, how this is coffee and martial arts. It's martial arts in the whole. And any type of martial art that you do is, whether if it's, you know, Kenpo or Taekwondo or Eskrima, Shotokan, any of that stuff will benefit an individual, right?
Oh, yeah.
And just being able to make that apparent to the individual, I think just markets itself.
Okay, one question.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned, and I think this is very important. That's why I'm going to ask this. The professional side of it, running a business,
Right.
because I don't think we are, in general, I don't think we're well prepared for that. Let's talk about the Kenpo community, right?
Yes,
so besides running the studio, which I can tell you have a lot of experience, have you taken any extra courses or in different topics to add in your professional development or your career as a business person, or is it all comes from your teacher?
That's a very good question. I appreciate that, because yes, there is a lot of education that came from different sources. In a way, I think that I kind of did like a vocational type of study where you could, there is a place where there are martial artists that specifically go over the business aspects of how to motivate a student, how to organize, making sure you keep track of where they're at, where they need to be and stuff like that. NATMA over in there's different places. You have Maya. I'm sure everybody knows about some of the different karate business industries out there. NATMA was one that we were with. A professor got started with years ago, and there was a couple of people over there. It was a really good school called Mile High Karate, and they were Taekwondo, and even though they had a totally different type of business or karate model than what we had with Kenpo, the business model on trying to get a parent to really see value in a martial art right from the beginning was something that they were really good with. And that could be hard. Imagine, going into like a totally different karate aspect and they're trying to teach you about that, right? And even though the karate might not have been relatable with us, they had knowledge in a different area, right? And I find that if somebody else has knowledge in one area, it is a good skill to recognize that, right? It'd be crazy not to, right? If that's something that you can apply to your type of business.
Right. I have a picture here. Can you elaborate on this?
Yeah, I was about 17, 18 right there. And that's Professor Williams and Miss Williams you see behind me. And that individual in the front, that's Stephen Oliver. He is the owner of NATMA, owner of Mile High Karate, of running, the business aspects of everything. And in that meeting right there, it was in Denver. It was in their actual karate school where we would sit down for like 12, 13 hours a day. I kid you not. It was very intense. And it was going over a lot of advanced material on business, right? And a lot of them is about how to be able to manage the numbers and make it a business, right? And we learned a lot from them. We learned a lot how to be able to develop a better business model from that. It wasn't really an impact on developing the better Kenpo aspects. That was something that we continue to train on and get better with. But as for complementing Kenpo, it was something that was, I think, very huge. I think the knowledge was invaluable that he gave us, and it shaped on how we communicate with people and get it across to them, and do it with Kenpo.
I believe that's truly important, and I have to address something here because there's still this aura or this myth, I should say, around martial artists that if you run a professional business, you're not going to be as good as having good martial artists. Something you know what I mean?
Exactly. I
Like,
feel now you get your McDojo type of
yes,
deal, like
exactly. You
right.
beat me to it. The
The
McDojo.
more the more you run a business, less likely you're on the mat actually putting the grind in, right? And I find that it all depends on the way you run it, right? Because if we're running our if you're in karate school, because the way we have the models is you might have something like, well, why don't we test the students sooner? Let's test them every 3 months instead of testing them every 6 months, right? And you're going to really in your mind be thinking, oh, well, okay, we're already now starting to diminish a couple of things already, right? So we were very smart about it. It's more like, well, how can we get the students? Because actually testing them a little bit sooner would actually be not a bad idea, right? So what we did is we added like 10 more belts, right? For a younger student to go through, it's much more motivating for them to look at the colored belts, right? So you have the Kenpo, you have your 10 belts, right? White, yellow, orange, purple, blue, green, 3 stages of brown. Now, what we have in our system is in between those ranks, we have advanced belts. So you'll have a yellow belt, you'll have an advanced yellow belt, which is a yellow and an orange belt together, right?
Mhm.
And they test every 3 months. So it's still from white or from yellow to orange, it's still a minimum of 6 months in order to test. And I think yes, sir, go ahead.
Just one question here.
Yes, sir.
To elaborate on this. Do you have a special curriculum for kids?
Yes. Yes and no. We do have the way our curriculum goes is actually kind of evolved over the years. Because when I was a child, the child's curriculum was you got your belt, and when it was a white belt, for every 2 techniques you remembered, your instructor would test you on those 2 techniques. You would get a stripe until you get a total of 4 stripes, right? And that would equal up to 10 techniques. As you became a yellow belt, then it was 6 techniques you would test until you got 4 stripes. And that picture you showed where I had a yellow belt with 4 stripes, that means I could say I know all 24 techniques, right? That was really good for the people who practiced, right? But then you might have a child that is, that one right there, you see the 4 stripes. That's like, oh, now I've been tested for all 24 techniques. For a child who, everybody has different type of learning curves that they go through, though. You might have a child who's really good at memorizing, but not so good at like hitting basics and being like a fighter, right? And you can have the opposite. You have much more of a fighter, but then you don't have much of a forms type of technical person. Right. So the way we have our curriculum now is that it goes through the first week, we go through techniques where we have a basic, level 1, level 2, level 3. And it basic goes from your basic students who have not committed to black belt. That part might be a little bit, want to clarify with it, because level 1 is still the same level, but level 1 are for the students and parents who have committed to become black belts. So it's a bit of a different class for them. And then you have a level 2, which is your intermediate, and then level 3, brown belt and up. Each one of those levels comes with a technique and 2 techniques actually for 1 week. So for 1 week, we might work like a yellow belt technique. And if they're really good with it, we work an orange belt technique with them if they have their techniques memorized. And it allows us to be able to take 1 entire week to focus on 1 technique. So it could be like grasp of death is this week that we're going to go over this technique. And we can focus just on that. And for every week, we do a review with students, which is extremely important. Where anybody who has an easy time memorizing the Kenpo system probably goes through a lot of reviewing in their mind, right? So if students are not good with that, we got to teach them how to review. We have the 10-second rule, right? Where we salute out of class and we say, if you don't review this again in 10 seconds and practice it at home, you're probably going to forget everything you learned, right? So teaching that every week how to review is important. And then focusing just on the basics of the technique. We could spend a whole week just working them just on the basics and the concepts of the technique. And that's really important because we find different ways to be able to teach things properly. And I find teaching the concepts with the techniques is very important, and just teaching the techniques as a whole, because the concepts is what creates the techniques. So we're teaching like delayed sword. Doing the snap kick to teach them about borrowing force would be a very good basic drill for a white belt, right? Well, after teaching them a snap kick, we're going to rush you, and you got to try to kick the bag before we run you over, right? And
Beautiful.
it's very beneficial. Actually, we build it up, so the child might fall on the ground, right? And we might push them over. It was absolutely safe for their level, but it teaches them, no, you get back up and you do it again, right? So it already teaches them that determination. And I find drills like that are very important than just trying to teach the memorization of the whole technique, because then you're just going to get a bunch of memorizers, right? So
nice.
So to break it down, first week it's techniques is our curriculum. The second week is forms week. We go over just now their forms. Third week we do a technique week again, and fourth week is sparring. It's very important for students to go through all 4 of those cycles, because sparring is absolutely essential for them as well. So that's kind of like a breakdown of it in a nutshell.
Beautiful. Anthony Angulo says, yes, new blood. Yes, sir, indeed. Yes. We need more of this new blood, sir. Yes.
Yes. Hey, Mr. Anthony Angelo. It's awesome to have you. I think you were there in Mr. Kangaiko when I was with you guys. When we were working out.
Here?
No, sir. It was just one of the workouts.
Oh, right, on the Garage Monkey.
Garage Monkey, yeah. With
yeah, of course. Yeah, I saw that video. Yes.
I really like that experience because I love Kenpo. Kenpo is my favorite thing to do, and it was like that since I began and worked that first technique. And I like everything about Kenpo that comes with it. Not just, we're creating individuals. We're helping a lot of people develop better confidence and self-aware of themselves. But I just, much like other martial artists out there, the other parts of Kenpo, like being able to work out with other people and getting in the grind of things, right? And really being able to work your Kenpo out with somebody else, right? Kind of a little bit of the old school way of that type of thing where, well, once you do techniques on somebody else, it really teaches you a lot about that person, right? Whether if they know their stuff, if they don't know their stuff. And I think you can get a lot of good mutual respect once you get on the mat with that person. And that's something I just really, really enjoy. So the bumps and bruises you get along the way, because you get those bumps and bruises, and it's very empowering too, because it conditions the body and everything like that. But it does build that confidence, and it shows that you're not just, all focused on the business. You're a Kenpo black belt, right? And there's that excitement you get where you want to, almost kind of, you don't have to prove that, you can do all your moves, but it's very exciting to be able to, have the opportunity to do those moves on others, because I think they appreciate it too.
Right. Let's see. We have more comments here. Billy Williams says, love Kenpo. I watch you guys and others a lot. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Billy Williams. That's exciting. Yeah, like every night we get everything from I get everything from Professor. So I'll come out with like bruises on the arms and stuff like that. It's unique being around Professor all the time. It's actually quite an experience. Sometimes I'll be just trying to do my normal stuff, and Professor grabs me and says, hey, I got a new idea for a technique. So now he's working the technique on me and for like 5-10 minutes, and I get a quick little beat down real quick before we even get started with anything. So those are pretty fun experiences.
Daniel Perez, hey Randy, good job. Keep up the great work.
Oh, thank you very much. I definitely will make sure we keep up the good work with as much as I can.
Nice. So we have here, let's see. Let me share something right now, okay? Because if not, we're gonna run out of time. So let's see. Let's go right now. Okay.
Oh. Yeah, you're looking back at footage when I was a white belt. That's amazing. I've came a long way. Well, you can even see there, I'm helping him out a little bit. So like right from the get-go, you can already see I wanted to help other people develop some good Kenpo. So I was just so excited about it.
That that spirit of service, that attitude.
Right.
Nice.
I thought that was great. Not a lot of people have like footage back when they were a white belt. So I was like, I found that.
Fresno Kenpo Karate is owned by a black belt instructor.
First grand opening of the karate school right there that she has.
Okay, but
It's
this has
amazing.
audio, so they're not going to be able to listen to us. They're just going to listen to the video. Let me share it, okay?
Oh, but yeah.
School. Fresno Kenpo Karate is owned by a black belt instructor and mother of 3, Renee.
You can unmute yourself if you want.
Took part in today's exhibition, learning lots of fun.
You need to unmute yourself in your computer.
Wax on and wax off.
Yes, sir.
There you go. Now you can talk.
We'll see you at 11.
Cool. I figured that it's kind of cool just kind of watching that short clip right there. That was in 2004 when my mom first opened the school. We studied, she had it opened beforehand, but that was the official grand opening. That was my first demo on Capture Twigs you just saw me do right there.
How old were you there?
I was 10 years old in this demo. Or I just had turned 11, actually, I believe.
So,
11 years old when I did that.
So Kenpo did really change your life, huh?
Absolutely. It was amazing how just from one day to another, it just completely flipped. Because I was the little kid that was just extremely shy. I didn't play with other kids. I didn't like to do any of the sports stuff because I was just shy. I wanted to I didn't want to mess up in front of people. Right.
Okay, gotcha.
So when the opportunity to do karate, it was like I immediately said no. Right. And I didn't really have much of it was my mom. She just continued doing karate. Right. It's like, okay, well, fine. I'm still going to do it then. She got a black belt in 2002 and quit her job and just kind of turned the entire family around. Opened up a karate business in 2004. Yep. And that's when we were just hanging out at the school the whole time. And she just put me right in. And it was just, again, one of those things where it's like, no, I don't want to do it. And the first day I did it, it was like, I just felt that it was right. It felt good. It's very hard to explain because it was,
I understand.
it just felt good. And I almost in a way decided right there, oh, I'm doing this for the rest of my life. It was like, it didn't feel like work to me. Being there at the karate school every single day, some of the days we had to just be in the grind and wake up early and have like 12-hour days sometimes because business really is a fluctuation of hours. You might be working 6 hours one day, you might be working 14 hours another day, right? So it's going through all that stuff. And once I started that day, I think it was just my journey to keep things going. And that's really important. That's why I do like to let a lot of people know is that I've been doing it every day. It's been a part of my life since I was 10, through my teenage years, my young adult years to where I'm at now. And I haven't been away from the school once. It's been consecutive. It's been active. I've never taken a break. And it's just been like that for 17 years. And I plan on keep it going like that for the next 20, 30, or however long I can do it for.
Beautiful, beautiful. What about school? Did you go to college or just finish high school?
That's a good question. So I was homeschooled.
Okay.
So I spent most of my time at the karate school doing my homework. I was actually elementary school up to 4th grade. My brother and sister were in a private school. I never wanted to go to a private school. But once my mom opened up the school, there was an opportunity to do home studies. So we took advantage of that and went to homeschool. And professor eventually became my actual school teacher. Amazing, huh? So he's the one, I had a real struggle in 7th grade. And he really helped me get past a lot of the issues I had with that. It was like basic math troubles I was having.
Just one second. Can you say who Professor is?
Oh, that's right. Good to clarify that. Sasha Williams. That's Sasha Williams, Professor Williams. Professor Williams is my stepdad, and he raised me all the way up from that point up when I was 10,
Nice.
and then growing up. So I've been around him for a long time. He's been around me for quite a long time, so I'm glad he was able to put up with me with all those years.
That's nice. That's nice.
But
we have another comment here.
Oh,
Jermis Caraballo. Hello, God bless, masters. Hello, Jermis.
It's good to see you. I'm glad to have some more people watching.
And we have a question here. Kim Dahl asks, what is the minimum age for first black belt in your school?
It's a good question. Because to achieve it, because it depends on what black belt we talk about our school, because you have your regular adult senior black belt that you need to be the age of 16 in order to achieve, right? So what happens when you get a student that's 5 years old and they are like putting 6-7 years into the art and they're already like 11 or 12? Back in the original day, right, we call that actually a youth black belt. The reason why we don't call it a junior black belt is because junior is reserved for the first degree rank, right? So we call it a youth black belt. And at that stage, they get a black belt with a white stripe in the middle. And they got to re-go through all the ranks again. They test every 4 months up until they're the age of 16, and they reattest for their adult black belt. So the way we depict that for the parents to understand is that once your child gets a black belt by the time they're 12 years old, now we got to put them through their adult training. Because even though a child's a black belt at that time, they have the skill, right? But they still don't have the skill to be able to, handle like adult-like situations, right? So that's why we encourage them to be there to at least 16. So that way we can be able to teach that to them as they grow up. Quite frankly, we really encourage them to be there to at least second degree black belt, because we say, like, getting your black belt and quitting is like getting your license and never driving, right? It's like, why would you spend that whole time and stop? But yeah, that's you can get it as young as 11. I think as young as 11, a student can attain a youth black belt, but that black belt has an expiration date. If you quit at like a youth black belt at age 12, by the time you're 16, you can't call yourself a black belt anymore, because what are you going to be, an adult and call yourself a youth black belt? So it encourages the student to do it as they become an adult.
Beautiful. And because I've heard different approaches to this, the whole black belt thing when they're kids, right? And one of them is never give a black belt to a kid. But
exactly.
See, on the other side, if a kid sees that an adult is getting a black belt in 4, 5, or 6 years, and they're not getting a black belt, they feel mistreated, and they're right.
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 Especially if they, I feel similar ways, because it really depends on all the work that the student has put in. Sorry.
Exactly.
Because I was like that, right? I was like there every day, and I saw the adults. Getting their material fast, and it motivated me. I was like, no, I'm not going to let that adult pass me up. I'm going to work hard. You will be surprised on what a young person can accomplish when they're motivated properly, right? And they can accomplish so much, right? I've seen like 10-year-olds pull off like long form 2, right? That were really determined in practice. They might not understand the whole realism and the streets applications of everything, but they're understanding the motions, right? They're understanding the body alignment and where to put the arms properly. And if we really express and tell them, no, that's important. You can't just think that you're going through a dance routine. Teaching visualization is one of the more challenging things we do with our students, because they have to really not just think of doing a strike over and over again. They got to visualize a target in front of them. And they got to visualize, well, there's a target there, and I'm going to be trying to go through that target. And that takes a lot of looking at the eyes. Looking at the student's eyes will tell you right away if they're just copying moves or if they're really visualizing. Right. I mean, heck, even at our ranks, right, we're going through our higher belt forms or our techniques. And I know sometimes you get caught off guard where you go into your sequences and you just start going through the several sequences, and then you might realize that, wait a minute, was I visualizing that, or was I just going through the sequences, right? So it's a very good practice for visualization. I think in the beginning stages you get a lot of, can you visualize your opponent? And as you become more advanced, I think there's different things, especially what I'm practicing a lot with visualization at my level is trying to visualize the pressure of the opponent. Because a lot of the reasons why we do certain strikes is because we want to try to hit the person as efficient as possible before they can hit us, right? So we might be applying things like path of least resistance or tracking. So that way we can hit one opponent while we're looking at another opponent, right? So trying to practice that visualization could be a challenge in itself, where you're checking one opponent and I'm going to get ready to palm this person, but I'm going to be looking over here. So by the time I'm here, I'm already looking at opponent number 2. right? So that takes a different level of visualization because we're so focused on visualizing one opponent in the beginning stages. As we become more advanced, we can now have more of a gaseous state of motion, right?
Right.
Where we don't have that, we have that, that black dot focus opposed to the white dot focus, right? Ed Parker's thing is that you have different point of views, and they're very good ways to have. You have your point of view, your opponent's point of view, and your bystander's point of view, right? And it's important to be able, you can learn from each one of those point of views, and it teaches you to be more aware because you need to be the person defending. You need to know what it's like to be the person attacking from their point of view, and you need to know what it looks like on a third point of view. And it already gets you into the mindset of don't just focus on just one and lock on one opponent. You need to be able to see everything that's going around. But it's obviously hard to do in the beginning stages because you're so focused just getting your body aligned properly. And then you're focused on trying to get, trying to visualize your opponent. So there's those different stages of learning, right? When you first come in, you're embryonic, and then you become more mechanical. And then as you get better, you're trying to hit the spontaneous stage of Kenpo, where it's natural, much like speaking a language like we talk about a lot, or just doing a musical instrument. If you can get on an instrument, just play it, and start doing something, you're not attached to the scales and the keys and everything. Those are beneficial. You can utilize your scales in order to become spontaneous and to be able to do what you need with it and express yourself.
Nice analogy. I like that.
Right, and that's what the Kenpo is about, and it's really hard to be able to. That's a pretty advanced level of getting to a spontaneous level where it all becomes natural. Right.
Nice. Mr. Richard Matthews says, "Good evening from Jersey." Hello, sir.
Hello, Mr. Matthews. It's good to see you. Glad that you were able to take time to watch my podcast today.
Nice. Yes. Let's see. We have a little bit more photos here. Okay.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. That's a really good one. I really like this photo because you see all the people in the back over there. Had quite a crowd, But second degree brown belt I was testing. In the back you see there is Mr. Haro. He is Professor's highest ranking black belt. When I was a kid, Mr. Haro was like a third degree already. And you get like some of those black belts that have been around for a while. And it's always, whenever you're in a group of a lineage or a black belt that's produced quite a bit of black belts, you're going to get a lot of different type of attitudes there. And we were no stranger to having that one black belt you always get that has to prove themselves to all the lower belts, right? And unfortunately, those guys are not with us anymore, obviously, because they just kind of left themselves. But Mr. Haro was always different. You could tell he was really focused on developing the Kenpo. And I just saw it, and it was almost like he didn't say much. So it was like that bit of there was a mystery about him a little bit. I remember him working with my mom, Miss Williams, on long form 5 at a tournament. And I just remember watching it. It was the coolest thing ever. And I was like, man, I'm going to get to that point one day working those forms, and I can't wait till I do that. So that was a very big moment because I had Mr. Haro holding me. I have Mrs. Williams giving me the promotion kick. And all those people were watching. We actually run our own in-house tournaments. So this was right before we ran our in-house tournament where we had the Madera School at the time, Fresno and Los Banos, and Gilroy even. I think Mr. Haro was even there. And we would all come together and compete. And it's a way of teaching students how to be able to prepare themselves for competition. For anybody who's been out there competing, it could be a bit of a different experience for a lower belt. I was a yellow belt starting to compete out in open tournaments, and it could be really good. It could get really bad, right?
Right.
And you need that instructor to be there with you to help you along the way.
Of course.
Because at those tournaments, you got to focus on your own performance and doing the best you can. There's no surprise that the seniority at tournaments definitely get, they get the light on them a little bit sometimes. Because if you've been there for a while and you have that seniority and you've been recognized more, well, then a lot of the black belts are really going to be kind of used to that. And if you're a newcomer coming in, you might not get that same treatment, obviously. You kind of have to build up. It's like being a beginner in class in a way. You're not, don't go up and try to, challenge the highest ranking black belt when you're a beginner, right? You might want to build a way up until you can get to that knowledge and have those conversations, right? But yeah, competition has been a very enjoyable thing for me too.
Scott Higgins says, aloha from Hawaii, Randy. Love working with you and your dad. The training and attitude was a bit different in the 70s and 80s. As a young person nowadays, what techniques do you use to engage your young people?
That's a very good question, Mr. Higgins, and I appreciate you being here to watch the podcast. Getting a chance to see you work a couple of times was amazing. I'm glad I got a chance to be able to work with you. You have a very good flowing in your movements. I was watching your podcast just yesterday, actually, and I really enjoyed it. With the techniques, it depends on really the level, right? We could take any technique, really, and focus on one type of, drill that we could do just to get them excited. But with any technique that we do, there's certain basic levels that we want students to be able to accomplish, and speed and power could be one of them, right? So we're working like a beginner, right? And we're working them on techniques like alternating maces. One way to get a student excited is just to simply like work the vertical punch and kind of rush them a little bit and build up the gradients a bit. And teach them that you can stop somebody with it. Right. But they got to first learn a little bit of one way I get students excited about techniques is teaching them alignment and teaching them the power and then teaching them the speed. So if we're working a punch, it's important for students to first feel that they're strong. So first touch the target and first see, can you move it back? Because you'll know if like the elbow is up or something, it's going to be kind of weak, right? If it's in a weird position. So once they can feel that they can move something back either with the punch or you're doing an inward block and it's in the right position and they can kind of move it back a little bit, then now it becomes about a little bit more speed. Well, how fast can you get there? If you know how to have good alignment and you can be strong right there, now it's about how fast can you get there, right? Because if you can get to that position really quickly, then that's where you're going to have the whole body momentum going all within that. So nice. It really is working them on the alignment and then working them just the speed and then adding footwork into it. That is another thing to get them really excited about, because now if they're moving around in a stance and they're just looking at a bag and boom, they have to be able to hit it or something like that. Beautiful. Now they're working different skills, right? And we're not just working alternating maces anymore. We're working on how to be able to check with your front hand maybe and time that rear hand punch, right? So now it's much more reaction type of training. And that gets students excited because it makes it more real for them, right? Because once everybody likes that challenge. And if you make a mistake at first, right, you might get it wrong and you time it, boom, and then you get knocked over or something like that. That really can get even the youngest student excited about doing any technique that we do in the Kenpo system.
Cool, cool. Jason Churchill says, Randy, I love your energy and your positive attitude. Obviously, seen a lot of you online, and it's so nice to add a personality to the face. This coffee and martial arts feature are such a great way to unite the community. Great job, Mr. Soto. Thank you, Mr. Churchill. Thank you, senor.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Mr. Churchill. I appreciate that. It is nice what you're doing, Mr. Soto. Getting all this community together is amazing. And I think this is a good time to do it because I think a lot of people are really more receptive and they appreciate that stuff more now. So,
well, yeah, I think actually this has been very organic. I just started myself in front of the camera doing a monologue, basically, and then people just wanted to join, and I'm very grateful. So thank you for being on the show. We have more people saying hello here. Glenn Kinney says, Mr. Soto, nice show and to see young people. Yes. Yes. Thank you for the young part. Thank you. Oh, no,
yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's right. The young part. We're both not in that total upper category. You know, we're still in.
Hey, I'm almost your age.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Right. We're still there.
In my heart.
There's a lot of pride. Yes, of course.
Heiko Niederhausen says, good evening from Germany. Nice show. I hope I said that right.
Very good. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
I've been wanting to visit Germany. Professor's from there, so I've been wanting to visit that
We are out of time. So before we go, I wanted to share, if somebody wants to find you on in social media, where can they find you, please?
You can find me on Facebook. Just Randy Perez is one of the easiest to get my direct. Amazing Kenpo. I've really made Amazing Kenpo my name, where you could find that everywhere. YouTube is my main channel, so that's where I'm posting a lot of the videos up. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, quite frankly. So you can find me all over those places, but I post everything on YouTube. So if for some reason you don't get it on Instagram or TikTok, YouTube, I always post it on there. So I'm actually very excited. I hit 200 subscribers and more. So it's not too big, but I just appreciate that people are watching it. One of my next videos is I want to do a giveaway on this book right here, Art of Spontaneity. It's one of anybody.
Can you share that again? Sorry.
There you go. Sir. Art of Spontaneity, Professor Williams's book right here. Really good book. It's like a prequel to the right. Yes, sir.
It's a good book.
I'm going to make a video on it. There's a couple other Kenpo things I want to add, but I think this would be a great time. I just feel to do a giveaway and to have Professor Williams sign the book and then give a couple of professors' books away, because I think it would really help a lot of the Kenpo community, because I have a couple of them. And they're not very accessible. So that's going to be one of my videos coming up. So I'm very excited to hope to be able to get that book out to some more Kenpo people.
Mr. Williams, Maestro says, coffee and martial arts is accomplishing what we never had in the 80s and 90s. I see a lot of unity here. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Professor.
And I should say, this is all because of you guys. The people coming in and wanting to share. I'm not doing much. I'm just opening, the window, but basically you guys are doing everything. So thank you. And Mr. Matthew says, great book. I'm in it.
Oh, exciting. That's great.
Damien Abbott says, great enthusiasm. Looking forward to that spilling over into the session this weekend. Yes, sir.
I can't wait. I don't know if you have that picture, but we have the seminar this weekend with all the black belts coming in. And you see it right over here. It's exciting. Damien Abbott is going to be, I believe, our first person on doing the seminar. And by the way, I love your video, sir. It was great.
Nice.
I'm excited. I plan on being there for every seminar, so I can't wait to see what everybody is going to be working on.
I'm also honored to be on it. I think I'm going to be at 4:30.
I believe so. Yep, that's what it says. 4:30.
Yeah.
So you guys definitely got to be there for that. It's going to be amazing. It's a rare combination.
I'm really excited about it as well.
Yes, sir.
I think it's going to be amazing. And let me make an announcement. Next Thursday, we're going to have Grandmaster Doreen DiRienzo from Kenpo International, all the way from Boston, sharing her, life in Kenpo. She's one of the powerful Kenpo ladies that we have today. Okay. And thank you. I mean, the hour went fast.
It did. It went by super fast. It's like, it's so natural and just fun being here talking about Kenpo. It's like there's so much to talk about,
Right. I guess we could do this for another hour at least, but we are out of time. Yeah. So thank you very much, Professor Randy. I think this was very enlightening. I really appreciate, if I may say, I really appreciate what you're doing. And I appreciate that you accepted the invitation and that you shared your focus and your knowledge and wisdom. You already have wisdom about the art and about your career at a young age, and that's very, very nice and amazing to witness. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure being able to get many martial artists to be able to see what I have to offer. So I really appreciated that opportunity and everybody who was also watching too. So thank you for what you're doing. It's amazing.
Raquel Hoskin is asking, is the book signed? It will be, right?
It will be. Yes, it will be signed. Professor's signature will be in that.
Nice. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you, sir. And Tomorrow we'll go live in Espanol, in Spanish. Okay. Tomorrow we'll have a very nice guest for the Spanish community. We're going to have Sifu Daniel G. Corona from the Shaolin Temple of Mexico. He's doing an amazing job. He's a good friend of mine. And remind you, Thursday, Grandmaster Doreen Di Rienzo. And tonight, we're going to do our Tuesday roll night with my good friend and sensei, Rodrigo Salas from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a great day. Take care.
Yes, sir. Everybody, you too. Have a great day.